because no one knows how to use OBS.
No one knows how to use
OBS.
I didn't even want to do this shit. Fucking quiz tomorrow.
I just came out of lab, bro. Like I'm telling you, my DD lab is so exhausting. Like it kills you, and I was so.
I see you every day in the library studying so seriously.
For DD?
No,
Something
I'm
she's
just
studying.
doing DD. First of all, I'm like.
DD was one of the nicest subjects. Very nice, yes.
I need someone to explain.
You guys
that
don't like
to
DD?
me. No, I don't like DD.
Do you guys have something against the DD TAs, by the way?
Ours.
Yeah, we do.
They're nice ones.
No,
Yeah,
ours is
females.
random. Ours is.
Oh.
You know,
Yeah. Heard it through Shamlina.
he's actually a kitty. He signed that thing off. Because we even though we didn't get our thing.
Oh, you just got through?
No, no, no. Not it was like a 3 part thing, it's like a 2 month.
Oh.
Usually one part of the
Should I choose DevOps as a career route or should I go for SRE? Oh, wait, even cloud engineer sounds interesting, but the demand.
Hey, everyone. I want to talk to you. Hey, guys. Hello. I'm all good. How are you? Are you guys based out of the Goa campus or the either of the other?
Goa campus.
Okay, awesome. Parul just shared a link. Okay, Parul just shared a link that said it's at 6 p.m. Hope I'm not late. Okay.
We'll be starting in 2 minutes.
Hey, also, are most people joining from, say, a teleconference room, or it's going to be individual video call links? because we'd love to see people's faces. So whoever is happy to keep the video on would be cool. It'll be nice to interact.
Hey, I'm right here. It's Prachi Patke. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
He was a BITS Goa batchmate of mine. Yeah, Ploy. That's right. I think at that time it was called BITSA, BITS Alumni Association. But yes, I was. Thank you.
I think you should be able to hear me now. Is that okay? Okay. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, there's so
That's it.
many. I think
Yeah.
I'm just collecting my memories. Like I don't even know where to start. Yeah, I guess just being the campus looked very different when I was there. I was there from 2013 to 17. I guess Gaja has to have an honorary mention, so definitely miss Gaja. I was part of a lot of different clubs, and I think a core memory for me was being Sea Rock head and organizing Sea Rock. And we went to like 5 Hard Rock cafes that year. It was pretty, and that was actually I quoted that in a lot of my MBA applications also. So like happy to talk more about that, but that's for me. Sure. Yeah. Happy to pick it up, and you guys feel free to chime in. So listen, when you say MBA, I think one thing I want to clarify, and the others also let me know if you agree, but MBA should not be your goal. Your goal should be figuring out what your career aspirations are, and then kind of aligning your career, like every step, every decision you make in your career, aligning that as to what your long-term goals are, what is the industry, what is the geographical location, which country you want to build your career in, and then thinking about how an MBA can help you get there and what's the right time to do an MBA. In my personal situation, around third or fourth year of college, I knew that I wanted to switch to finance. I had taken a bunch of finance electives, and I gave my CFA L1 by the time I passed out of college. For those of you who don't know, CFA is it's a charter. It's very similar to CA, but think of it as a finance counterpart of the CA exam. So there are three exams, and you get a charter at the end of it. So I wanted to make a career in finance. I recruited off campus. Um, and I think, yeah, so I think through work experience, you will get a really good sense of when is the right time to pursue an MBA. And I think I'll just close with repeating what I said earlier, that MBAs should not be your goal. It should be a way to get where you want to get in your career. And that can change, and it's okay for that to change throughout the years. But the others, feel free to add in.
No, I think I completely agree with you, Prachi, because at least for me, I had zero kind of idea about doing an MBA, at least when I was in BITS. And to be honest, even so, I graduated from BITS Goa in 2020, same as Parul. And then I worked in the fintech startup for 2 years. And even in those 2 years, I never decided or planned to do an MBA. It was much later, and I think we'll anyway come to that as you ask like other questions. I think I took the decision super last minute because it aligned with what I planned to do next, not because I'd planned for it before. So it's at least our suggestion would be to, I mean, you can kind of have a sense in terms of you wanting to do an MBA or not, but then don't take up career or don't take up, say, certain activities just so that it's going to help you with that application later on.
Yeah, so I also completely echo what Prachi and Mohit said. So I think throughout my time at BITS, I was just very like focused on figuring out what I like, what my interests are, and exploring the various opportunities and platforms that BITS provides. So I think like you guys also referenced to the fact that I did a lot of things. So I think I was just focused on figuring out what are my interests and where my passion lies, and then like going from there. I think MBA also for me was a recent decision. So um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms, maybe I don't want to drop the bomb on this, but then if you, it's only going to get tougher once you go into the once you go into professional life. In college life, I feel the best time and the most free time I've ever had in my life is during college, and like after that is decreased. So um, since you're speaking about MBA, I think there it's a learning in itself that if you're able to manage time and take that as a learning during your college, it makes it much easier during when you're applying, because I think if you're going to apply to an MBA abroad, right, you need 3 to 4 years of experience, at least 2 to 3 at least when you're applying. So if you're going to start from your college, it's going to be much easier. And if you're very sure, maybe this is again related slightly to the previous question, like if a person is very sure that they want to get into the management track and not move away from the technical track, and you want to maybe sort of get a few tick boxes done, you could probably just do the GMAT while you're at college. I mean that's probably the only thing you could do when you're at college, because um, the other things is something you learn on the job, the experiences you get, and so forth. So I'm not sure if I totally answered the question, but there isn't overall strategy. But I think there are certain things you can do in your college, like learning how to do better time management, improve communication skill, and yeah, maybe get done with the GMAT aspect of it. I mean, it's a specialized degree is basically like you either specialize in strategy or finance or whatever it might be. That's the specialized degree, strategic management sort of thing I did at HEC. And why I chose, let's probably break this down. Why I chose not MBA and specialized degrees, because I wanted to be in Europe, not in US. So that was my career goal. So, and for MBA in Europe, right? You have like 3, 4 major schools. Like Mohit is from LBS, so a few other schools like you have INSEAD, you have HEC. If you want to stay in Europe, doing an MBA from HEC was not the right thing for me, and I wanted more to do a specialized strategic masters. The reason I say is because even I have a CFA level 2. I'm not still a charter like Prachi. So I thought I had got like the finance knowledge of it. I thought I can do self-study like through CFA and so forth. When I was working as a management consultant at ZS Associates, I felt I was working very closely with the head of strategy with a lot of product brands. And I realized that maybe I want to specialize in strategy and tech strategy in that. So that's the reason I took a specialized master's. But yeah, honestly, it hasn't made a big difference. probably because the role I am at right now at EY Parthenon is the same thing which MBAs recruit into. So it's not like you do an MBA and you go at maybe an L4 or something. It really depends on your career trajectory.
Yeah, so I'll just weigh in here on the original question and also maybe answer Daksh's question along the way. So, again, echoing like what Raghav said, it is a very good idea to take the GMAT or the GRE in your like college years as well. Like I believe so because I took the GMAT after I started JP Morgan, and it took me a lot of time getting back into the exam mindset and just preparing. And I think like it could have been much easier if I just taken it in college. So if you have like even the slightest plans of pursuing like a master's degree abroad, take the GRE or the GMAT. I don't know about European schools, but US schools, like at least the M7 and most of the other schools, I believe, also accept the GRE now, and it's given like equivalent status as the GMAT is. So not a bad option. I understand that the exam is a bit costly because it's in USD, but I still think it's like worth the investment, to be honest. So yeah, Daksh, like if you're planning for your GMAT or GRE this semester, I think it's a good idea. Also, one other thing, yeah, management like just becomes like gets tougher and tougher as you enter like the work life. But I think like also coming back to the overall strategy, just when I say that apps like try out different things does not mean just step in and see what it's like. Actually get involved, and when you're actually writing your applications, only the things where you had the most impact in, those are the things you'll write about. So I was a part of multiple clubs and bits, but I think I just put like 2 or 3 very impactful points from there. So just don't be like a member in like 12 clubs or something like that. And I think that's how you learn time management itself with your academics, research interests, internships, project work, etc. So yeah.
100% agree with both Raghav and Parul. I think if you think applying to MBAs or this is a stretch, then you need to get a reality check because life gets really busy later on. But I think one thing I would add here is use this time, between college and between like the work experience before you decide that yes, now is the time to do an MBA. Between those years, use this time to do ample research, talk to a lot of people, build your network in the countries, or if you assuming you want to go out of the country, if you want to move to the US or Europe, try networking, start making a list of schools that look interesting to you. Schools on the East Coast in the US, schools in Europe, schools in the West Coast. Try to reach out to the alumni, speak to them, keep journaling all of your research. And when the application time comes, give yourself at least 6 months to prepare for just the essay writing. So when I work at Lilac Buds, the application consultancy, a lot of people come to me with application deadlines in 2 weeks saying I need to write 6 essays. That's just not going to be your best work product. And last minute hitting up people on LinkedIn saying, oh, just because you want to drop their names in the essay, that's not the right way to go about it. It'd be far more efficient if you gave yourself ample time to iterate on your essays and if you do your research beforehand, by the time you come to the essay writing point, you already have a very solid understanding of why you've chosen the schools you've chosen, and you have a lot of names, you've met with a lot of people, and writing the essay should not be a problem. And absolutely agree also with another point that was made, that use this time to give off, know that GMAT and TOEFL or IELTS are required for most schools. So get that stuff out of the way while you're still in a student mindset, and these test scores are valid for 3 to 5 years for the most part. So get all that logistical stuff out of the way and then focus on networking and researching, and absolutely, I think time management is key. So plan ahead and give yourself enough time to do the applications and show your best self in your story.
Yeah, I think just one thing to add, because probably we haven't.
I think Mohit was saying something.
Are you able to hear me? Okay, solid. Yeah, so no, I was just saying that a lot of us are giving suggestions that probably we ourselves didn't follow much as well, because At least I didn't do my GMAT when I was in BITS. So it's okay. Even if you guys are not able to take out time now, you have, say, a couple of other things going on, recruitment going on, whatever, it's all right. You sure can kind of figure out time. Of course, time is going to be tougher. And I think that's the heads up that all of us have kind of given. But it's all right. It's not too stressful as well. So don't worry about it too much. Yeah, sorry, guys.
Cool. So maybe I'll take this one since I just got done with my MBA applications. So the GMAT Club is a really good resource tool. It's a platform. It's like social media for MBA aspirants and GMAT aspirants, and also it's the Poets and Cons website. I've put them both in the comments. So that is where you can get started if you're just like thinking about whether an MBA is for you. You want to attend like these interviews, like not exactly interviews, sorry, webinars, or like read upon people's stories and like experiences over there. So get started with those. For the GMAT, I feel it's a personal journey. So I would highly suggest that. So GMAC is the official administering body of like the GMAT exam, and they offer you two mock exams. Take one to get an idea of your baseline score because it's a very accurate representation of what you actually get in the exam. And once you've like taken that, analyze it and figure out like what you want to like, where exactly is it that you want to like, you have to improve, and then take maybe like courses or like look up YouTube videos. There are like a bunch of good resources available. I personally went with EGMAT because funnily I was stuck at like quant. I was at 259. I wanted to get into Q50 or Q51. So I found that EGMAT was like affordable. It really doubled down on quant. So again, it's like personal for you. There's like a bunch of other resources as well. For the applications itself, I went with a consultant and I would highly recommend. But again, it's a costly process, and then there's like the logistics of taking an Indian consultant versus a US consultant, and then your profile, and some consultants specializing in different profiles. I went with the Red Pen because I felt like they could like bring out my profile well. So, are they effective? It depends on, I feel that you have to take charge of your narrative in your application because at the end they are professionals and their goal is to sort of maximize whatever people they're taking just to show the output that they're able to get them in. So for example, I applied to 5 schools like Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, Kellogg and Booth, and that was recommended by none of the consultants. People wanted me to apply to a lot of safe schools as well. So you have to really take charge of the ship over here. But I think they sort of take away like a lot of um, misleading directions or just like give you like very directed targeted answers that really help when you're crunched on time, when you're like balancing work, personal life, and then the admissions process as well. So I'll just put down a name of the few put on the names of the few consultants like that I recommend.
Yeah.
Right.
There's another thing I want to add to this, and very specifically about what Parul mentioned, is that there are a lot of providers out there, like EGMAT is one. Even I took EGMAT, but it isn't that EGMAT is the best or anything. All of these providers have this sort of 2-week trials or something. So probably you should first try which is the most effective or what resonates with you before actually buying the course. Because once you buy the course, then getting a refund and everything is just a hassle, and that's one aspect. And with respect to admissions consultants, again, admissions consultants help you in the journey of the 6 months, right? Like suppose they won't help you plan out the 2 or 3 year journey. So there's a lot of work to be done before. So ideally, one step is finding a mentor slash going through other people who want to, like, suppose if you want to go to Stanford or something, hit up Parul, and then just try to understand what are the other things which need to be done. And then when you finally go to the admission consultant, they tell you the gaps which you can focus on in the 6 months or 12 months you're working with them, right? But you can't achieve everything in the 12 months. You can't. So that's something to keep in mind. And also, with respect to affordability, it might seem like a lot of money because you're right now you're a student. So don't get overwhelmed. As you start earning, you start saving, and then it is an investment. So you shouldn't look at hiring an admission consultant when you're in a final year. So that's a call out, I think.
I think just one thing I would add, since so I never used an admission consultant, but I really resonated with what Raghav said. They're not going to help you build your life. That's totally in your hands. Kind of working up to building a profile and to figuring out when's the right time to do an MBA and where. Uh, so I just had a friend who kind of helped me proofread the essay. So think about these consultants as someone who helps you with like creative writing, basically, and telling your story in the best possible way, in the best possible language, the format, the structure. Like use their help for this stuff. They're not gonna come in and like tell you what to write in the essay. The content has to come from your life and your entire story. And I think given that I graduated in 2017, so I'm a little distance from college, but I think to answer your original question, like the one thing that is very helpful to me even today is the BITS network. And I cannot emphasize that enough, how I really truly think that out of many other Indian colleges, the IITs included, I think the BITS alumni network has been extremely resourceful to me. Even now, when I try to like change, I'm not working at JP Morgan anymore. I recently left the firm. And as I'm trying to look for new jobs, you like Bitsians always show up to help, to give you a referral. And I cannot emphasize enough how valuable that is. So definitely, and as Parul did, and as a lot of others did, participating in a lot of activities and clubs and bits, that's what really helps, because you make some of the best connections, and these friendships are kind of for life. And putting yourself out there in college, that's the purpose it serves you. Like it's a network that matters.
See, maybe I can take this up. And I think it also depends from school to school and probably region, actually. If you look at European schools, they ask, it's not only two. So if you look at, say, the structure of the application for B schools, typically they are going to ask two essays about, say, what your goal is and experiences and so on, right? Whereas, and so that is one question that's going to be common in both US and European schools. But more than that, I think what I've at least observed is European schools put more emphasis on trying to understand you from an overall perspective. So they have, I think, in total about 7-8 essays on an average, where they're not only trying to understand what you've done from a professional life standpoint, what your career goals are, but also about you, like about your international travel experiences and how they have shaped you. And then a lot of these other small questions, right? And that's where I think I also tried relating back to my experiences at BITS, my extracurricular activities during my professional life. So I think it varies from region to region. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll take the ones, like, I'll maybe narrow down on US schools since I applied to the ones in the United States. Uh, I don't think there's like one like special part where they focus on. It's your overall application as a whole. So you need the quant part, or the like your resume points, your transcripts, your GMAT score, to sort of back the Y part, which is your essays, your LORs, and like your other like extracurricular activities, etc. They don't really have a lot of essays, to be honest. The maximum I wrote was 3 for Kellogg. I don't know about other schools, but I think you can't really afford to like say like mess up more than one part, to be honest. And you have to give like a pretty rounded view of who you are as a person. And I think it also depends on your story, what story you're pitching, what narrative you're bringing, and how your like each aspect of the application contributes to that narrative. But I think like the statement of purpose is something that a lot of people do not understand, especially when they come from India, because we're just not used to understanding the whys of our decision as such, I think. And I think like that is something that you should really focus on. You should really think about your essays and what you want to present in them, because they're like they are like really important in the application. I think the quant part, like the quant as in like who you are as a person, as in like your achievements, etc. I think most of us will be able to come up with really good achievements, to be honest. Yeah. Oh, also your LORs. Like build good connections because that takes time. So just it's all.
100%. If like, even when you work in clubs, just to give you a specific example, if you're in a club and you're really good friends with, say, you're a first year and you're really good friends with a third year, or someone who's ahead of you in the professional career, and then you want to work at a company, or when you're applying to MBA, and these people can also be like, I mean, maybe for example, you guys worked in the same company, even if you didn't maybe work very directly with them, their LOR could be useful, or they could speak to higher ups within your company and kind of help you get that LOR. This is just one of the ways these things work. It's not like a definite formula, but having a network definitely helps. And yeah, to answer like your original question, I think there's no one specific thing to focus on. Be super clear and concise and about your story and why MBA and why now. And I think all these specific scores like GMAT or maybe your undergrad GPA or LORs, these are just kind of check the boxes to get through the initial filters in these college applications. But ultimately, it's your story that makes you stand out.
See, and also, whatever you're doing in college and see all these scores will only be one small part of your application. I think majorly it's going to be around what you've kind of achieved or what you've worked on in your professional life in, say, those 2, 3, 4 years that you've been working in organizations. So I think that's the more important part. And I think all of you should probably emphasize and put effort towards that direction now.
I can take it off. Mohit, go ahead.
No, go for it, Prachi. I can go.
Okay, thanks. So one key thing, see, for me, MBA and like all of the others on the panel, MBA was a way to establish myself in a completely new geography. And I think the 2 years of MBA kind of helped serve as a sort of buffer and get used to the social culture, the climate, and kind of social cues, and really get acclimated with how corporate life and how to be a professional in a completely new geographical market. And I think I wouldn't, for me personally, since I had like a CFA or like prior finance education, I wouldn't say that the MBA was like the highest academic contribution in my life, but more so, and I won't talk about networking again, but that was still a key part where the MBA came in. But the second thing I would say is learning professional skills. And just to give you some very specific examples, sending out calendar invites, being super punctual, being respectful of other people's time, and first and foremost, like being self-confident, and you are a professional and you are networking with other professionals, and kind of treat everyone with respect. One other thing I really wanted to call out on this panel was, as soon as you guys put out the event post on LinkedIn, at least 50 of you sent me like random connection requests. always use, when you're reaching out to someone on LinkedIn, always use the add a note function to add a little note when you're sending someone a connection request. Treat social media as like personal life. Would you just walk up to someone who doesn't know you and say, let's be friends? That's not how it works. You would go up and introduce yourself like a normal human being. So use LinkedIn to do that. If some of you who sent me notes with their connection requests, I'm much more likely to respond to those. So just, things like these and how to sort of be professional and kind of be more self-confident out there in the professional and corporate world. I think that's kind of some of the key skills that I learned and incorporated during an MBA.
See, so I am still pursuing my MBA. I'm in my second year at LBS. And before coming to LBS, I was of the opinion that, okay, you know what, this break is going to be 2 years of just me having fun and partying, which I still do. But I think looking back over the last 1 year and how it shaped me, it's been an immense journey. And major part of it is the network that all of us get access to. Especially if you look at a European school, if you don't have more than say 13-14% of the class being represented from say one particular geography, like for instance, Indians are only about probably 14% of my batch. So the class is super diverse, right? And you get access to so many different people and their thought processes and their experiences. Now for me, given that I want to look at starting up something right after B school, it's a huge kind of access that I'm getting, right, to different ideas and thought processes, and that's already helped me kind of come with one idea, and I've been working on it over the summer and till now, and similarly, just kind of keep iterating on it. So I think given you have this access, just maximize the use of it.
Yeah, maybe I'll just contribute like a bit to the academic part of it. I just started my MBA. It's been like 2 weeks right now, but I think like BITS is probably like one of the few colleges in India that has a very similar system of academics, like the classroom discussions and examination systems that like sort of simulate the West, to be honest. So I feel like there are a lot of parallels between my undergrad and my grad school. Obviously, grad school is a bit tougher, and there's a lot of diversity and a lot of other good points that Prachi and Mohit pointed out. But yeah, I think acad wise, like you should be fine. You won't get in and you'll be like, what is happening? I don't have an idea of the format or anything like that. So yeah. So just purely from the academics point of view.
Yeah, and I think again, just to add to that, see, there are three things when you come to B school that people typically try managing: academics, social life, and similar to BITS, you have a lot of clubs and departmental activities that you can participate as well as kind of take lead in organizing. And typically most people can manage any two of these three. So it's about your priorities. But either which way, with the BITS background, I think it should be a smooth journey for all of us. See, I think to be honest, not too many challenges per se, at least from what I have prioritized right now. But I think challenge comes in terms of, for instance, for me, if I want to attend different events, because you're again inundated with the number of events that keep happening on campus and networking events that keep happening in London. So it's prioritizing that. So I mean, I don't think there are like major challenges that kind of come up now. And second is we're also not working, right? I mean, we are doing this as a full-time MBA. It's not a part-time MBA. So this is our kind of only focus for this period of 21 months. So it's not too bad. Mhm. I think it's just fun, right? Because- I'm sorry, go on. No, so you're asking MBA after college. So see, at least for both me and Parul, I graduated in 2020 and then I joined LBS in 23. So I did my application when I think I had like 2.5 years experience. So I was like, and similar with Parul, she's worked again for like 2-3 years before she applied. So it's not right after undergrad, right? We've kind of had access to like professional career trajectories. So it's more of if it's anything, then I think it's a break for us now after the strenuous journey that we went through.
If
Yeah.
anything, look, all of us have worked really hard across engineering entrance exams to get to BITS. So I promise you, academically, nothing is ever going to come close to that. Maybe the CFA, but not even. Actually, no, not even. And CFA was pretty hard. But um, like MBA is a 2-year vacation, let me tell you that, in terms of academics. Use it, in fact, to build your professional network again. I keep coming back to that, but use it to kind of round out your profile and position yourself to go where you want to go in your career. And academics and managing your work life is not going to be a problem at all. It's super busy. But I think a lot of being busy during business school is also your social calendar, because you want to go out, meet people. You want to, I'm not proud of it, but well, actually, I kind of am. I went to the Caribbean like 5 times in 5 months when I was here. But I pursued I'm an advanced scuba diver, and I did that. And I kind of got, like, now I have kind of a group of my MBA classmates who are all scuba divers, and we kind of try to organize trips once in a while. And one of them is also trying to give me a referral at a company. Just giving you a very off example of how that works out. But a lot of people in the US, in my experience, a lot of people who are locals to these countries, they also use MBA as kind of like a 2-year vacation to kind of just reset and switch their career paths. And that's how you should think about that as well. I think the biggest challenge is kind of moving and getting accustomed to corporate life in a completely new market. And you want to use the MBA, the 2 years or 1 year of your MBA, to really position yourself to excel in that place. I think that's kind of the most challenging, I would say. But academically or working hard it's never going to get harder than what we've already been through. So we're good on that.
I think adding on to what Prachi said right now, especially the point about scuba diving, I think that's something which is overlooked quite often. It's because MBA is not like the final goal. MBA is like a step, and then you have another professional career coming in. So it's not like a book. You read a book and then you write an exam and you go in. You need to have other interests, and the more because something like what Prachi said, like she had scuba diving and then she has a friend who likes scuba diving, who will eventually give her a referral or something like that. So I think it's important to develop those aspects. Academics, I think I'm going to be very controversial here. Like, you can actually get by with 2 days of study before you go to the classes. That's enough.
Yeah.
It's honestly not at all hard. It's more to do with the social calendar. And it's quite important to prioritize the social calendar. Like Prachi did scuba diving, and for me it's football. So for me, football, and I have a lot of anecdotes where there are a lot of advancements in my professional career. Like, I started the AI Center of Excellence for EY in the UK office. And the only reason I got to do that is because I support Real Madrid, and the firm's CTO also supports Real Madrid. That's all. Like, we had a conversation over dinner over that. You wouldn't believe. So it's not like, okay, I'm super smart or anything like that. It's actually the small things that matter in the end.
I just wanted to add one more thing. At NYU Stern specifically, we had grade non-disclosure. What that means is employers cannot ask, like my grade point is never disclosed to employers. The only person and the only people who cared about my grades at NYU was my father. And he kept calling me and I said, Papa, it does not matter. Like, forget it. So that's just anecdotal, but trying to tell you that academics is not, is just the beginning. It's not even the biggest part of why you're doing an MBA.
There's that every 4 years there's that big alumni meetup that happens, right? What is it called? I think it happened, I think last year or the year before that, or I don't know, every 2 years. I think that helped me a lot, because you get access to the entire set of alumni, right? So, okay, quick context is, in this alumni meet that happens, it's I think invite to all the batches of BITSians across all the 3 campuses or 4 campuses who've graduated, and they all go to, I think when we were there in 2020, it happened in Goa campus, and because of that, we got access to quite a few established kind of entrepreneurs and multiple other people, right? And because I was part of the ARC, as well as I think there were a few other kind of departments who are working on this, we had access to some amazing people. For instance, the founder of Swiggy had visited, founder of Big Basket had visited. And then through this, I kind of spoke with them on the startup that I was working back then. And then they eventually became advisors for the startup that I was working on. So, and this is just one of them, right? I have multiple stories like this where events, I think even during the course NVC, New Venture Creation, there were like multiple speakers who would just come and interact. Just try to, I mean, if you're that type of person, just go have a conversation with the speaker after the event, and you never know what that will lead to, right? Yeah, I'm just looking at the question, and I saw this one about MIM versus MBA, and that's a really valid question for most of you guys. I think for those who don't know, MIM is typically masters in management, where typically people with 0 to I think 2 years of experience apply. It's like an early career program of MBA, and MBA, at least in most of the schools, people with an average years of experience of between 4 to 6 apply. So the question asks, what would be a better option, an MIM or a deferred MBA admission right now? Personally, I would suggest a deferred MBA. Reason being, the next 2-3 years of your professional career, you're going to actually learn a lot, right? You're going to understand how organizations actually work and function, be it big organizations to startups. And having that kind of sense and then pursuing an MBA, where it's not about academics, but it's more about the people that you get access to, the discussions that happen in class, at least in LBS, and I'm sure most of the other schools, discussions in class are case led. So you can also take a lot from the case discussions that happen in the class, where people are sharing different perspectives and relate back, right? So that's always better from what you gain out of the program. And second is the network, and your next steps would be the next steps will be kind of clearer in terms of what you would ideally want to do than say what you would have by pursuing an MIM with like 0 years experience. In which case you can kind of tap into the network then and there, because you have people from various years of experience, right, in different backgrounds. So you can actually reach out to them, speak with them, and then get referrals or whatever, right? So I would always root for MBA. Do you guys have any different thoughts? Parul, Prachi, Raghav? Okay, no, that was another question. I was referring to one from, I think.
I have something to say here. I think there's a lot to unpack in that question. First of all, don't think about M&M, and MIM as, excuse me, and MIM as a shortcut to do an MBA without experience. Please stop, change your mindset there. And MIM, I mean, it just teaches you about management concepts and stuff, but nothing can substitute the professional experience that you get from actually doing work before an MBA. So the concept of an MIM and an MBA is pretty different, I would say, in terms of where it comes in your professional career. That's what I would say. As to whether doing it in India versus abroad, I think I answered that question to someone else on the chat. It's totally a preference about where you envision yourself living and building a career. If you want to do it, if you think living in Europe would be cool, apply to colleges there. If it's in the US, do that. And if you want to stay close to family, if you want to continue working in India, that's perfectly fine. And then you want to target the CAT and all your Indian MBAs. So for me personally, the decision, I was very crystal clear that I wanted to live and work in the US. And that's that. So I didn't even apply to MBA colleges in the Europe. So I mean, that's kind of what should guide your, like what you want to do after an MBA should guide your decision to do an MBA. And feel free to cut me in, but I would like to answer some questions about the CFA. A lot of people are asking about that, but we can come back to that later.
Yeah.
If any of you
So,
want to add to this
yeah,
question.
maybe I'll just weigh in on Prachi. Like, whatever she said is completely right. It's a personal preference. But I think a lot of people might be confused because I was, like, when I was planning to apply for my MBA, I wasn't sure if I wanted to work in India for the long term or the US. I was pretty sure I did not want to stay in Europe. Sorry, Raghav. Yeah. But yeah, so what I did was I tried to maximize, and I was also pretty sure that I wanted some experience abroad. That is why I ruled out like MBA programs in India. I wanted a more global experience. Also, I felt that after BITS, maybe like purely finance opportunities which require like a degree to change into, like they might be out of my reach. But apart from that, I did not feel like in the like in product tech products and all, I wasn't particularly at a disadvantage when compared to like say IIM graduates. So I wanted like an experience abroad. And because again, like I wasn't sure where I wanted to stay, US or the India in the long term. And this is a question that confuses a lot of people. I tried to keep my options open and maximize on the brand. So I only applied to schools in the US which have like a global brand, and hence I chose only 5 schools. So like that kind of ensures that even if I want to come back to India say later after 10 years or so, it won't be like I won't be at a disadvantage, because I have seen people who've gone on to like say maybe not very well recognized colleges in Ireland or like wherever like in somewhere in the US, and they face trouble like when coming back to India or their degree is not recognized. So make sure, because it's a really hefty investment in terms of money, time, effort, make sure that it's like worth the ROI for you, and make sure that whatever like things that you want out of an MBA, if you're confused, I recommend talking to like people who have done it. Like that's why you build a network. Talk to people, like I talked to like multiple BITS alumni like who've done like MBAs from schools I wanted to do, were working in India or were working in the US. And I went in with the thought that I don't know where I want to like stay long term. So that's how I planned like my applications and chose my schools. So
I really wanted to emphasize the monetary consideration part that Parul brought up. That is a very important decision for you as well as your family if they are sponsoring your further education. So my strategy for applying was I was very clear I want to, live and work in the US. and I research schools and I apply to schools that have scholarship funds and are likely to give out scholarships for MBA. My NYU turn was a full ride. And I was very clear, so I applied to 5 schools pretty similar to Parul, and my criteria was that schools that have a reputation of hiring of alumni getting hired in finance. 2, they give out scholarships. And then what I'd done was I'd applied for round 1 to these MBA schools, and then in round 2, while I was yet to hear back on my MBA decisions, I applied to several masters in finance programs that would also allow me to do those 2 things that were my goal, which was to build a career in finance in the US. So definitely consider your compensation monetary considerations as like a whole in terms of kind of deciding where you want to end up.
Yeah. So like special emphasis on the scholarship part. Even my like Stanford and Harvard are basically need based, and like all the other colleges I applied to also offer like scholarship funds. So even I'm like on a very hefty scholarship over here. A. B. Somebody asked about the job market in the US, and that's a very valid consideration. I asked that, and that's why again I focused on the brand of the school and the opportunities that I would get after it. Go through the career profiles or like the career website of these schools. They usually tell you like how long it takes, and the placement stats are really good over here, like in these schools. So some senior, like I was talking to one senior, and they told me if you don't get placed out of these schools, then like what is the point? Like so I think like the brand of the school becomes really important because recruiters do come to these schools. So don't just I would suggest like if you're applying for an MBA abroad, don't compromise on the reputation of the school
Yep.
because even if the job market is really good, you might struggle. So
Yeah, maybe adding on to that, I just want to emphasize, this shouldn't be an ego boost, but we are BITSians, so I think we already have a very good brand name already. So we should not cut ourselves short to going for schools which might seem like, even if they are giving a full, like, I fully agree with what Prachi said, but the scholarship shouldn't be only consideration. It should also have a very good brand name, because I think for me, HEC as well, HEC does not give a lot of scholarship, but the French government funded me. So that's the reason I had LBS and HEC. So then I chose HEC because the French government funded me. So, and you also should look at the target geography there. So I feel like, because we are BITSians, again, don't take it as an ego boost. Just make sure that you apply to the best, even if an admission consultant comes and tells you, you know what, maybe Harvard has too much competition or whatever it may be. I think that's just crap there.
Yeah. So a lot of questions, that were coming in were about, how will the CFA improve your MBA profile? I think that's a really wrong way to think about it. If anything, if anything you took out of this panel, I think we would want you to understand that MBA is not your goal. Like building an ideal MBA profile, there is no such thing as an ideal MBA profile. You should do a CFA if you want an introduction to finance, and look at the CFA L1 syllabus. If that is something that does not interest you, that's okay. You don't have to give a CFA, but then have something else to compensate for the fact, like, if you're applying for an MBA, saying, like someone was saying, that I want to switch from consulting to a finance and I want to use an MBA to switch to finance, that's perfectly valid. So if you want to go the CFA route, the CFA will kind of help underline your commitment to why you want to build a career in finance. But if it's not the CFA, maybe it's something else. Maybe you know a lot of people who work in finance. Maybe you've done some projects for clients who work in finance. And it could be really anything, but it matters as to your conviction and your story as to why you want to shift to a career in finance and how an MBA will help you. And if you want to do the CFA, do the CFA if it interests you. But it's not, don't look at it as something that enriches your ideal MBA profile. There's no such thing.
yeah, and just one thing like a lot of people just sort of seem to think that to apply to an MBA program, you need to like have some experience in finance. That is so not true. Like reiterating what Prachi said, if you've been working in engineering or like product, and then you just take like the CFA degree and apply to the B school, they might also take it like that you are confused, you don't know what you have to do, and that might go against your profile. So I was like I did engineering before like going to B school. I was like a software engineer, then I worked in applied AI ML, and I worked with data. So like purely engineering, I applied with like a heavily tech profile, and I also want to do product after an MBA. Like that's what I thought. Like that's what I think as of now. But yeah, don't do an CFA just for the sake of it. It does not add any value if you don't have like a good story to back it up. It's just a waste of your time if you're not interested in finance, or like if you don't want to do it. Because an MBA is not just about like pursuing finance careers, to be honest. So
Oh yeah, I could ask over the mic. Yeah, so this might be a little of an odd thought, but would an MBA narrow down your career prospects more towards like management or finance roles, or even after doing an MBA, you could still, stay on like the tech side of things and make use of like engineering degrees?
so
Because
I
I'm still
sorry.
like, wouldn't like if you're still confused about which industry you eventually want to wind up in, and then you think about an MBA.
So, so Sahil, like industry-wise, I don't think any industry is close to you. A lot of people like go into the tech industry. It's very hot right now. Even like for MBA people, a lot of MBA are STEM like qualified now in the US, and they have like a lot of STEM courses. Especially like I'll talk about Stanford. You can take like you can do a joint degree with the CS school, and I can apply for it right now if I think that's something that I'm interested in. But I can also take like schools across the university, like the CS school, the law school, or anything. So I don't think that's true. And one particular case I want to tell you about is I saw somebody on LinkedIn who had an MBA, but then he eventually did like software engineering, and then somebody later went on to pursue like a PhD in ML from CMU, some bits alum only, like very old, and he's like leading some tech function at like Google or something like that. So I don't think any career is close to you. I think like an MBA in the US especially is sort of like about building your brand and meeting like a lot of new people and getting acquainted with new opportunities. I think that's what like you should look at it like. So I don't think it narrows down anything.
You should definitely think of the ROI though. Like if you're spending 2 years and a hefty investment to go do an MBA, then I mean the starting salary will have to be something that's like at least it's still early level, but at least it's in a it should justify the investment that of time and money that you've made in your MBA. So if you want to be a software engineer and you want to continue doing that, don't do an MBA. Like I know plenty of BITS graduates from my class who have reached like who are in managerial positions today because they are almost they're engineers, but they've now shifted to being product managers without doing an MBA because they continued working in the same firm, and that's okay too. But if you're in a place where you realize there's like a roadblock and you're not able to advance in your career, and you need to kind of you need a little kickstart or to like help you switch careers, that's when an MBA comes in.
I will just say that don't go in with like any preconceived notions, any biases, any myths. It's
चलिए.
truly your journey, and like embrace it fully. Do really well at whatever you do. Like give your best. Try to like really create an impact. And yeah, if you decide an MBA is for you, like we'll be there to help you out. And yeah, just like all the best like for your journeys in general.
Yeah, it's so exciting, and I think this was a great idea to do a panel because I think a lot of like when I work with a lot of students in my consulting, I realize that a lot of them don't think about an MBA until much later because of a lot of sort of preconceived ideas that they have about studying abroad, about immigration, a lot of things. So just talk to more people, and I'm really happy that you guys hosted this because this is kind of prompting people to start thinking about an MBA early on. So as Parul said, more than happy to be a resource even going forward. Make sure to add notes on you when you send me LinkedIn requests so I know who you are and what you want. But thanks for having all of us, and all the very best.
Yeah, and I think for the time being, just focus on the current career. Wherever you are, just do your best. I think that's what's going to be like a major needle mover when you actually apply for B school. But apart from that, just enjoy, guys. You have, yeah, just enjoy.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Bye bye.